Hi, everyone. This is Gary Berman, host of the Cyberhero Adventure Show. We have an incredibly important and timely guest today who's going to talk with us about the opportunities of using cyber ranges as a way to upskill and cross-train the next generation of cybersecurity professionals. And Michael Roncon is joining us right now. Hey, Michael, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Gary.
It's so nice to have you. Indeed, I have to begin by kind of the cool background that you have behind you. Now, maybe you can share with our audience by way of an introduction. What are we looking at here?
So the shield represents both the offensive and defensive side of cyber operations, and so that's how the shield was created. And so there is offensive cyber operations and there are defensive cyber operations. And that is what's reflected in that shield of cyber ranges. And from a marketing perspective, people always say you should keep it simple and let people know what you do. And in this case, the name says it all.
Indeed. And even though the name is simple, the mission certainly is not. How would you explain the mission of what you're doing and how we got in touch and why we're doing this show?
Absolutely, it's a pleasure. So Cyber Ranges is a next generation platform that was created to provide simulation and emulation synthetic training. And so legacy systems had an issue because it's a technology legacy issue. They're fine range companies around the world. When we created the Cyber Ranges, it was built on microservices, cloud native, to allow for the scalability given the global nature of cyber attacks. They affect every nation state, individuals, corporations. And so this was to create a platform that could be standardized throughout the Five Eyes environment, NATO, and its allies. And so from beginner to expert, we have the capability to do skills development, which is important to see within the security operations centers and the defensive side, the gaps that may exist to make sure that they can continue their training and effectively create a cyber resilience posture within their organizations. And so what used to be simulation based, today we provide very high fidelity emulation. And that is to say that we take real world attacks and we get their TTPs, or techniques, tactics and procedures, the indicators of compromise, or the IOCs and malware samples. And then our cyber threat intelligence team reverse engineers that information and then hands it to our scenario foundry, which recreates that for training purposes. And we're trying today to get that from the front lines to training as soon as possible. So usually 10 to 15 days after we have that information, we get it out to the market, and that's to our clients in the MOD, in the commercial sectors, to allow them to stay current with the current attacks that they're facing. And
indeed. I mean, you had mentioned something in passing very quickly now that is important, which is your interactions and your role with NATO. Before hitting the record button, you had mentioned that you're at a NATO meeting. Maybe you can explain to us the geopolitical aspects of your mission.
Thanks, Gary. It's a great question. So, we as an American organization and having global footprint, we're in Europe, we're in the Middle East, and we're in Africa. And so we try to provide the same. So for NATO, it's a collaborative environment. It's very much like a fragile ecosystem, and the member nation and state partners all have capabilities. And we're looking to have a collaborative approach for ranging so that they have a standard platform that allows all members to enjoy everyone's best capabilities that provide each country and member state to have access to the same data sets for training purposes. Cyber is a team sport. It is not a single sport.
Indeed, and one of the things that I think I'm sure is widely known, but came to my attention, only a few years ago, was that the criminals are kind of horizontally structured. They share information without impediments freely, but the defenders are more vertically structured. Because of regulatory frameworks, intellectual property, competition. How do you get people to play nice?
So I think that there within the cybersecurity world, there is a commonality and there is a great transfer of information. It's how that information is shared and then enabling people that are responsible for the protection of their individual organizations or countries. The challenges facing U.S., Europe, and allied nations. In the case of the Ukraine today, that's brought us to the front lines. And, Ukraine has demonstrated resilience and innovation without the dollar spent. In fact, I think that they have provided the world the opportunity to demonstrate what resilience really looks like from the front lines. But everybody needs assistance. And so, we created a program called TRYZUB, which in English translates to Trident, which is the Ukrainian symbol. And TRYZUB is they are Gamaradin and Sandworm. And those are two current attack data sets that are being pushed through the Russian state services, but they don't just impact the Ukraine. Those attacks occur all over the world for different reasons. And so we have developed in concert with the the state security special communications and information protection team, which is the SSSCIP, and the CERT-UA, which is the cyber emergency response team, to create from the front line information that they're receiving. And as I described previously, we have taken that information and we've turned it into a training program that allows people to get real live, current capability training from what are actual current attacks. ATPs don't really increase. They tend to be the same, maybe the 7 or 8 ATPs, but there are variations and they're added on to as the cyber criminals, as you described. And cyber criminals have an ROI that is more dollar and financially based, where state nations have it around IP and reconnaissance and affecting. Currently within the CNI or critical national infrastructure, it is a very real and present danger. Critical national infrastructures are at risk. The implications of an attack, if you look at water, power,
Right.
All those impact. If you can control a set of lights in a city, you can create chaos. If you poison water, you can do a lot of damage, and those are real threats. And so, there's a reconnaissance mode. They sometimes just sit and sleep. Sometimes they will do an attack purposely that gets detected, while meanwhile they're looking for lateral movement across the environments that they're looking to do. And so I think that the deep dive training and the experiential training, I think that our platform provides. And so it isn't a check mark, it isn't a written, it isn't listening. You actually can demonstrate your competencies and abilities by having the experiential capability on hands-on training. And that muscle memory is created best that way. And that's one of the opportunities or differences, I believe, that we've created for the cybersecurity workforce.
And forgive the interruption. How does our audience get engaged with you?
So we're, easy to contact us off our website at www.cyberranges.com. And there's information on there. There's a free training capabilities. If you sign on to app.cyberranges.com, there's actually free training capabilities. If you're a novice and you want to get into the business, we need the capabilities for future. We talk about workforce shortages, and I think again it's about taking people from the 19th century to the 21st century on how they learn.
Forgive me, did I get the website correct here?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. So going back just for a moment to the nature of the immersion training, I think muscle memory is very good way to describe describe it. What is the duration of a typical program?
So from a skills development, you can start from a novice and learn basic Kali Linux right up to an expert level and have a deeper understanding of the complexity of the requirements. And you can assume, I'll give you 3 different roles. If you want to be a security analyst level 1, which is a beginning level, there's a whole set of scenarios and playbooks. So it could be, weeks to months. And the goal for us is, if you're trying to be in the business, is to actually do this. One, you can't just go on and then walk away. The idea is to allow them 24 access to the range, which is what we do in our subscriptions. That allows people to come back, and even while they're working, on off hours or during, so they can be exercises and events to test the teams. There can be subscriptions that allow them to continuously go to the platform on an annual basis. So there are many ways to try to keep that muscle memory going and keeping up. The one thing that's constant in cybersecurity attacks is it's ever evolving and ever changing. And so what was 6 months ago, 12 months ago is already old data sets. And so threat actors are very good at what they do. So we need to be they need to be right one time. We need to be right all the time. It's that old adage, as they say. So I think from the training and capability development exercises, that allows management and security operations professionals to understand their gaps in their capabilities, to focus the training and the money spent, because budgets are always tightening. In the military, they spend 90% of the time training for 10% of actionable deployments. The corporate world doesn't tend to see it that way. They tend to see it as a cost because it hasn't happened to them. And And still today, unbelievably to me, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when, if you haven't been. Now, whether you declare by regulatory compliance or you don't, I would suggest that most companies have been attacked. And,
Well, I mean, for sure, China, for example, is in, almost all of our telco companies.
Absolutely. They have a long-term gain. I would suggest that the numbers of focused individuals in the PRC are in the thousands, and they have a long-term goal.
Well, Director Ray gave testimony to Congress some months ago about that. And if memory serves me, the ratio of PRC cybersecurity people compared to the United States is 50-1.
Minimum, and that's a valid number. That isn't trying to talk to the hill and try to do some FUD. That's just the reality. And they don't worry about 2-year election cycle and 4-year election cycles. And so,
exactly right. Yeah. So on that, of course, we just had the election, and is it safe to assume, or is it accurate, excuse me, to assume, that your organization, your mission transcends any particular administration?
Yes, it's non-political. So cybersecurity is apolitical. It is, and the men and women that serve this country do it very well, and they're committed professionals. And I think regardless of who's in power, the mission maintains and continues. And we have some of the difference, I think, between us and our adversaries is that the commitment is based on a philosophy that's endeared by all and not forced on anyone. The nation's security is critical. And we're the biggest democracy in the world. Our partners are democratic nations, and but information is power, and the ability to affect that is it. Maybe I would say it this way: what used to be kinetic aggression today is non-kinetic.
No doubt about that. Yeah.
And the power of the non-kinetic is you're not losing people in the field.
Right.
You're affecting destruction and reducing capabilities of nation states from in a back office or a building in wherever they may be. And so the return on investment, as the criminals look at it is a very good one.
Yeah, for sure. And also, and the risks, being caught are so minimal. Um,
Yes, I think attribution is very, very difficult.
yeah,
You know,
exactly. So as we're beginning to wrap up here, if it's okay, I'd like to just focus a little bit on the geopolitical aspects of your mission. You had mentioned that you're at a NATO meeting. How's it going regarding cybersecurity?
I think NATO is on the forefront. I think that between the shared information and the way NATO operates provides the ability for member nations to share and collaborate, which is critical, because everybody has seen different attacks for different reasons. But when you can share that information and you can make it available to all, it is a growth. I was very impressed with the capabilities. And this year it was based in Tampa, the NATO Edge Conference, and next year it will be in Turkey. And so you start to see the effects of collaboration. And I think as a combined strength, NATO wins the day, and the mission stays focused, and the participants are more than committed ever.
I mean, that's an amazing thing you just said, that, this particular one was in Tampa, which is CENTCOM,
Yes.
the headquarters. I assume that's not a coincidence. And, also that you're going to Turkey. I mean, talk about a amorphous sort of, partner slash collaborator slash troublemakers. I mean, how would you describe, sort of our cybersecurity relationship with, let's just say, Turkey?
Well, um, it's an ever. I think the threat condition brings a strange bedfellows sometimes. The ecosystem NATO is, when it was formed to today, has continued its mission but evolved, and so both, Ukraine is still not a member state. It will be in the future, I believe, and yet the power of the alliance is to support them because their threat could be the NATO members' threat. That's the commonality of the threat landscape. And so, you know, if I was going to pick a side, I take the NATO side always, for obvious reasons. And I think long term, the alliance wins against all odds. The aggressions around the world, from Indo-Pac to the Middle East, continue. And the disruption, again, like I said, there's a great ROI and a low cost proposition compared to kinetic. And non-kinetic has been proven to be that much more effective potentially. And so, trying to bring together the Trident experiences from Ukraine, for example, and sharing the hands-on performance, it's a unique public-private partnership that actually supports financially back to the Ukraine. If I recall the quote from General Potty, who's now the director of the SSSCIP, he said this is the outcome of shared experience and capabilities between the public-private sector for the better of the state and the world. I think is really what TRYZUB is, the outcome of what TRYZUB has come out. And so, you're talking, threat intelligence, cyber threat intelligence is an ever-changing game. And so to be able to bring frontline, not decades old information, is really critical to the nation states.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that our audience is on the same page, regarding what you're just saying right now and the importance of sharing information and also, in a timely information. I mean, I think timeliness is one of the key points that you're bringing, to this capability, right?
I agree. Look, it's near real time information, and so if it's a year old, it's dated. So we're getting this information that's active campaigns currently and bringing them for training purposes to our MOD partners, our DoD partners, and so the the capability from the schoolhouse to the tactical edge, as we say in the defense world, is critical. Having, what used to be year-long planning sessions to have one global exercise like lock shields, for example, now could be done monthly. And so you keep that muscle memory growing and continuing, and that increases the resilience posture of everyone that's participating. And I think that's critical. And really, we appreciated the partnership that we have. And I think it's a model to be replicated. And, sometimes we don't want to share information for security reasons. There are national security reasons. There are trusted partners, but within that trusted framework, there is an opportunity for better, secure countries. And I feel good that Cyber Ranges is participating and with our partners.
Well, on that note, Michael, how does our audience get in touch with you?
Myself, Michael at cyberranges.com, very simple. We're not very big on titles, but I head up national defense and the security portfolio. Happy to engage with anyone, or at info@cyberranges.com. If you go to our website at www.cyberranges.com, happy to have discussions and feed as much information as we have. We try to make what is publicly available, and then what's restricted on the high side to different organizations. Happy to have those discussions also.
Indeed. Well, Michael Roncon, on behalf of a grateful digital universe, thanks so much for who you are and for what you and your colleagues do, and most importantly, why you do it. And to our audience, stay tuned for more from the Cyber Hero Adventures Show.
Thanks, Gary. Appreciate your time today and being on.
You're welcome.